Drag racing fan, Lee Craft over here, Mr. Dujanay Bland over there. This is the Competition Plus Power Hour. We thank you for joining in on the conversation on drag racing. Dujanay, I don't know what your weekend held for you, but it was Tennessee to Iowa, Iowa now to Indiana, and getting more drag racing in from Chaos all the way to McKinney Corp. It's full blast.
I took a break. No racing, no sports, period. I just chilled out at the house, relaxed, and kind of took it as a reboot for, this next stretch.
You had the man flu.
Yeah, right.
Well, look, there's a lot of great action this week, and the action taking place up there in the Northeast with the NHRA New England Nationals. Really, the big event this weekend. There's other smaller events happening, but a lot of folks got things out of the way on Memorial Weekend, it does seem. Hope everyone did have a good Memorial Weekend and Memorial Day. And we roll right further on into, well, getting into the summer. It doesn't feel like summer here in Indiana right now.
It's summer here.
But we are rolling into it. And someone that's rolling on to New England is Dallas Glenn. He's going to be our first guest tonight. He's been rolling in that Pro Stocker of his and has already had a fine start to his season. The whole KB Titan team has had such a fine start. Hey, maybe we can get some insider news on what they're doing over there and why they're whipping up on Elite Motorsports right now. Or maybe we can learn what Elite is not doing that they see that they are doing, and they're just not telling them, Dujanay.
Yeah, maybe we can learn something. He's having a great season, though, man. 3 wins, 2 runner-ups, 16-2 round win-loss record. Yeah, KB Titan is cooking right now.
Absolutely is. Well, let's talk to one of the head chefs over there in just a few moments after this word from Weldon High Performance. CompetitionPlus.com Power Hour brought to you by Weldon High Performance. Boom, Dallas, welcome to the show. And look, first of all, how is the truck clutch compared to the Pro Stock clutch? Break it down for us.
Well, it moves a whole lot more than the Pro Stock one does. That's for sure. Even though I'd push it about just as often.
Well, man, Dallas, give us the breakdown first of all. Logistically, you're in the rig, you're rolling up to New England for the New England Nationals. What does it take with Pro Stock these days and a team such as KB Titan logistically to get it all done? What does it look like driving behind that wheel?
Well, just to clarify, I am currently not rolling because I am on camera with you guys. So we are stopped for the night. But yeah, we're I got rolling this morning, put a good solid 10 hours in on the way to Epping. So I got, I don't know, 5-6 hours left tomorrow. It's pretty long haul from Mooresville to New Hampshire there. Lots the Northeast is usually pretty tricky, and I'm glad I got the experience of been doing this a few years to figure out which way to go, which way is best. But logistically, to get all the engines done in time, get everything loaded. We've done some testing. This has felt like kind of like a mini off season. I feel like our off season was only 2 months long, and this was almost a month. So this has basically been half of an off season for us. So we've got everything all spiffed up, cleaned up, done some testing, and we were loaded up and ready to go this morning and took off.
Well, I'm gonna jump right to it. Andrew has a great question. He says to ask you if the rule changes posted on NHRA Racer about the transmission and gear ratio change anything for you guys.
No, we didn't have to do anything for that. I think that rule had always been, as far as I had known, I didn't really hear much about it, but as far as I know, had always been in the rule book, and it somehow in one of their newest editions got left out, and yeah, they just added it back in, as far as I know. I could be wrong on that, but I didn't have to do any work for anything, so it we shouldn't see it affecting anything.
Let's get to the point. What are y'all doing? Why are y'all so successful this year? Doggone it. I mean, KB Titan all the way. I mean, elite. I can only imagine what the Freemans and everyone over there, they work hard and they know what they're doing, and they are certainly going to get things figured out and catch up. But like, what is going on?
I think it was, if there was a couple years ago where it was the opposite direction. We fell off a little bit, they picked up a little bit, and it just kind of made it look worse than it really was. Once we picked up back where we were, and it brought everything back close to the racing, got tighter and everything, and then then it just became, the battle of, everybody was the same for a long time, and it kind of goes that way. Once one team picks it up a little bit, then the other team tries a little harder, maybe makes a few mistakes, falls off a little bit. Maybe they tried went a direction that they shouldn't have, and it might take them a little bit to go a couple steps back so they can move forward again. So I thoroughly expect to see, elite kind of back in their more normal fighting, form, especially after this big 4-week break. They've had a lot of time to diagnose and try different things and go testing. So we'll definitely see how tight qualifying is here at Epping. Epping's a pretty tricky track. The starting line usually throws curveballs at people. So
why is that?
I don't know. Historically, just the surface finish of this track is kind of tricky for pro stock. I'm not going to say it's bad or anything. It's just a little different. There's you go from Charlotte, which technically is not always the greatest. It doesn't hold rubber, but has gotten better over the years. You go, we didn't go to Chicago, but historically, Chicago has a very good starting line, a lot of grip. And for some reason, Epping just doesn't always seem to have quite the grip that some of the other tracks do. That's why you usually don't see, the big 60 foots like 960s or 970s like you normally see. Normally 980s up here is usually pretty good. 990s you'll see a lot of, and you see a lot of, if it ever gets hot or greasy, in that one flat range. So it's just a tricky track to, you still have good power because you're basically at sea level. And I think this weekend should be pretty cool. So hopefully we can see some good numbers.
You mentioned Chicago, but not being at Chicago, the last 2-3 years had been full pools for the pro stockers, even though before that their schedule was scaled back in an effort to help the class. The class seems very healthy. What was the discussion amongst all the teams to have some of these dates freed up for 2025?
I don't know how much of that was, the class wanting that versus NHRA wanting that. I'm not always in all those meetings, so I don't really know exactly what went down there. Obviously, I would like to go to all of them. I hate missing races, but whatever keeps the class healthy and what keeps us out here is good with me, I guess. So I don't know exactly what it was, if it had to do something with money or just logistically. If I know that there's some teams that want less, and it helps the smaller teams if they don't have to go to so many. So it's probably just one of those trying to keep everybody happy kind of things, if I had to guess.
It's hard to keep everybody happy.
It is.
It's hard to keep everybody happy. You'll never keep everybody happy.
No, that's difficult.
Yeah.
That is very difficult.
Yeah. On the other note, though, Chicago was one of them, being that we didn't go to, is one of those that I was like really disappointed at, because I've had really good luck in Chicago. It's one of those tracks I really like going to, even though the drive is pretty long from Mooresville. I've had a lot of success there, and I really like that track. So I was a little disappointed to hear that we weren't going back there. So hopefully next year though.
Yeah, I was disappointed you guys weren't there either. I was like, why isn't everybody there? I mean, especially one event, a year. Pro Stock's got to be a part of that event. So that was disappointing to not have you guys there.
Yeah, no, but it looked like it was a pretty wild event there. First you had the giant wind storm that came through that blew a big dust cloud. A haboob came flying over there, which is very odd for that place.
Yeah.
Kind of thing you'd see in the desert, and it was so windy, motorcycles couldn't even run Q2. They had to push it to Saturday, and then you have some big storms roll in, and then a cold front come in, and all of a sudden everybody's setting national track records and just setting the world on fire up there. So I think it would have been a really fun one if Pro Stock was there. I think you would have seen some pretty good numbers for what I was seeing motorcycles and stuff run on Saturday and Sunday. I think Pro Stock could have been well into the 40s, I bet.
Well, sounds like we missed out, Dugenais.
Yeah, we missed out.
Yeah.
We missed out.
Well, Dallas, look, I know there's a lot to talk about Pro Stock wise, but I love being on the road. I'm on the road a lot. So, look, loves or pilot?
I mean, I tend to stop at more pilot flying J's because I have way more rewards points from there. But I don't mind loves either.
Okay.
Loves are nice. It seems like typically the big flying J's are easier to find parking at than the smaller loves or pilots, unless you get there pretty early. I don't mind a Petro or TA as well. Iron Skillet's pretty good for breakfast in the morning.
Hey, I like it old school there. Petro, Iron Skillet, and Country Pride at TA. People don't mention those hardly anymore now.
No, not really. So it's usually I've over the years I've kind of just figured out when I need to leave, when I need to get to places to find parking. I know historically, okay, 3 years ago I left at this time, got there at this time, and there was plenty of parking left. So it seems like truck parking is a constant issue on when you're stopping every night. So I kind of have to plan ahead. It's like here a reason I left early this morning is because I got here at 7:30 and the place was probably 90% full already. So
wow.
Another hour and I might be searching or going around trying to find a spot that I can get into. So these rigs they're a little longer and a little bigger than most of the normal travel rigs out there. So I got to find somewhere I can get into.
What's your favorite spot to stop? Do you normally eat at the truck stop gas stations, or do you find a spot and have your spot where you kind of make that pit stop for that good grub?
There's not too many places that I always stop at for grub, except there is hopefully they can reach out to me. White's Travel Center there in Virginia has a Papa John's in it. It's like one of the only truck stops that has Papa John's in it. So I always swing in there and order a pizza. Plus, it's absolutely huge. I don't know how many spots there. There's got to be like over 600 spots. So there's always truck parking. There's everything you need there. It's a great place to stop there in off 81 in Virginia. So that's usually one of those places. Anytime I'm going by, I'll swing in there, grab a pizza, and get back on the road. But there's not too many places. I usually stick with the normal Denny's or Iron Skillet, Country Pride. I try to stay away from the fast food as much as I can, but sometimes you can't help it. You end up eating McDonald's or Wendy's or Burger King way too much. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, White's Travel Center, hook up Mr. Glenn here with a free Papa John's next time. Y'all pay attention and hook them up. And look, my dad drove a truck for 30 years, and I can remember as a kid going to truck stops, and they would all have great restaurants, each and every one of them. And that's just not the case anymore. And it is a lot more fast food, and it's harder to find. I think it's Beals truck stop there in North Carolina on 85 that's got a great restaurant still. It's one of the few that I can think of that still does, and some out west. But anyway, Papa John's whites. Okay, I'll have to remember that one on 81. I'll have to remember that one. Well,
Yeah,
Dallas, look, door car wise, bracket racing wise, are we going to get like the Pro Stocker at Galot? I think it is for the door car only fling, and you bracket racing that thing.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see the Pro Stock car there. I was trying to convince him. I don't know if Comp Eliminator is at Richmond. I was trying to convince him, hey, let's go test at Richmond and Comp. And I've always wanted to race Comp, but
Hey,
Ricky
did it with a pro mod. Y'all can do it.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Mason did it at Texas last year. He was, I think, at the divisional. He was running Comp Eliminator, and I think even though for B altered, I think you're still like 300 pounds overweight or something like that. When you do the math with the 500-inch engine, you can still go like 60 under. So it's not a bad combo, really. But no, I'd say there's probably a 0.01% chance of me convincing them to do that. But now, I have, to be honest with you, I've kind of just taken things one weekend at a time here. I don't even know when that door car fling is. What weekend is it?
Oh man, it's like September, October. I'll look real quick. Let me see.
September.
I'm certainly interested in it. Just hopefully maybe doing camera work or spectating or something. I really like the concept. Even though I love the battle of dragster and door cars, and it seems like door cars have been getting the big ones lately, at least by my math. Or maybe I only pay attention when door cars win. I don't know.
Yeah, September, October is generally not a very good time of year. It's right in the middle of the countdown there.
Yeah.
So not only do we have a 3 in a row, so we get Indy a weekend off and then 3 in a row. That pretty much wipes out your September. And I think there's a divisional right after Indy, in between Indy and Reading. So I think that one's taken off for Sadie as well. So, September is pretty much shot. And then October, you do get a gap in there before you head to Texas, I think. And then, but we basically leave and go straight to Vegas with, the next weekend. So
you got a window because it's October 15th through the 19th. That would be right after the Fall Nationals, which is the 9th through the 12th. Just saying.
Well, that is a window. There is a window there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a window. So is there 2 weeks in between the Fall Nationals in Vegas, or just one? That's the question.
It looks like that it is 2 at least. Here, well, I got the app open. We'll take a look. So
I think it's 2.
I think historically it's usually 1 weekend.
It might be. Hold on.
It's 2. Yeah, no, there are 2 weekends.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's a window. There's a chance.
There's a window.
So
Somebody buy Dallas Glenn a spot
chance.
and put him in a door car, or better yet,
is there
put up
a
the money
pro bracket
so we can
side
see a
of
pro
it? I'll just
stocker.
take the El Camino there.
Okay, do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they'd have to put up a lot of money to get the pro stocker there. That'd take a big chunk of money to convince them. I don't even know if winning it would pay for it. It'd have to be very worth it for them, me to be able to convince them to take it there, especially in the middle of the countdown like that.
Yeah, true.
But we have tested at Galop before, so at least they have known.
Really? See, so it is possible.
Hey,
yeah.
no.
I
think
can't imagine
cool.
it's you go there in a door car, be dialed like 419, going through at 168. They wouldn't know. Yeah, hitting the bottom in a pro stock car, I've never done that. That's where the comp eliminator thing would come in handy. So
yeah. See,
Yeah.
we're adding boxes.
I mean,
you need to check off.
I think instead of let's take all that money you guys are trying to get me to bring the pro stocker there, and let's convince Ricky Smith, because we know he can hit the bottom in a pro mod.
Yeah,
that's true.
And I think going 360s at the fling is way cooler than pro stock car there.
I like it.
Okay.
Hey, if someone wants to jump in on the pool and buy Ricky a spot, I'll help out on it. I would love to see that. That'd be cool to see.
Yeah,
so
that would be cool to see.
Let's get it done, Ricky. Ricky would do it. Someone pay his way.
He was awesome at comp eliminator. I don't know if he was like 00 teens and 20s. It's like that's what it. I mean, he'd be right there.
Oh yeah, he'd be right there. He would be
Yeah.
right there. Well, speaking of being right there, man, you have been right there this year. You've been getting it done. And where are you as a driver? Where are you as a competitor? Obviously excelling. Is there anything you're doing differently or finding that groove? How has it worked out for you to be so successful so early on?
I have a great car, great crew chief. The engine guys have done their job over the off season 100%, and they've gotten everything good, reliable, and I've kind of mainly just fallen into that groove. I've kind of tried to pick up where we left off at the end of the season. End of the season in the countdown, I felt like I was, I really wanted to win the championship, and I was driving real good. I was staying relaxed as best I could, at least, and staying relaxed when it mattered, I guess. I was a mess in between, but um, just kind of going up there doing my job, being relaxed and comfortable in the car. And I can't remember if what it was like my average light in the countdown was like 18, 19, 20, somewhere right in there. So I was just trying to pick up right there where I left off. I don't think I'm quite that good right now in this season, but I feel like I'm starting to kind of get it figured out again. And it seems like every time you get in the car, sometimes you got to relearn a little bit here. You might be pushing on something, your head's a little different game, the track's a little different, cars reacting a little different. But once you kind of get into a groove and you get kind of one with the car, it sometimes everything falls together. And so far, I've been pretty lucky. And that's the other thing that somehow, some way, the planets have aligned to where like Greg and I have not been on the same side of the ladder, knock on wood, for 6 races in a row. So that in itself has been lucky because that means we get to race in the final instead of having to race semi or second round or anything like that. So we've done a good job qualifying, and I got to hand that more to the crew chiefs than me. I get in there and do the best that I can, so that way they don't have any other variables to deal with. So, but everything's been good. It's just kind of falling into a groove, trying to do the best, clean, consistent thing that I can, and hope that it's good enough. And so far this season, because of all the hard work they did over the off season, it has been.
What is it going to take to finally punch that ticket and you can get that championship this year?
I think, if I keep doing the exact same thing I did last year, just doing everything exactly the same minus losing first round in Vegas, I think it should be fine. Obviously, Greg had a fantastic off season. A countdown. Aaron Stanfield was fantastic in the countdown, and Erica was very good in the countdown. So it's just trying to be that little bit better and not have that one race that throws you off. So, Vegas was not a very good weekend last year for the countdown, and as long as I can avoid having that one bad weekend in that 6-race string and just try to at least go semis or final every single race, then I don't see there's any reason. I feel like every year I get a little bit closer. I just need to try to get over the edge this time.
See, this is where that countdown 4 wide comes into play. Big time.
Yeah, it could very well, because 4 wides they can throw a wrench into anything. And
yeah,
dropped my phone here, but yeah, no, they 4 wides they're a little tricky, and it could definitely change the whole aspect of everything. It could end up exactly how we would think, and you end up with the top 4 in points all in the final quad, which I think would be pretty cool. But
yeah.
it could be a whole bunch of unknowns in there. Who knows? We've seen 4 wides that have 3 first-time winners possibly, and and a person who's won once. So there's been all kinds of goofy things in them. So you never know with a 4 wide.
Yeah.
You never know. But we do know you're going to be there as a contender in the end for sure. Dallas Glenn, man, take that break, enjoy it, and have fun up there at the NHRA New England Nationals. Thank you for the time.
Absolutely. Thank you. And if by some miracle and everything but luck, I am able to win that 4 wide there, I'm going to be protesting as hard as I can to get the Vegas turned into a 4 wide as well.
I like it.
Yeah. So
I like it. Dallas, take care, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Dallas Glenn, one of the best drag racers out there, well, period.
Yeah.
Not just in pro stop, but bracket racing. You could put him in anything and get the job done. And to go now from Dallas to bring on Mr. Richard Shute, one of the best photographers out there that there has been, period. Been doing it for a long time and has been able to tell a lot of the stories and got a lot captured over the decades.
Yeah.
That has certainly been him, and looking forward to talking with him in just a few moments and gleaning from him what we can right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. I think Bobby might need to do a Legends just with him and get some stories and get some shots and, break down some of the captures that he thinks of so highly and that tells some unique stories through still image. Well, we are certainly glad to have partners, and we have partners on this show such as Redline Synthetic Racing Oil. When you need to hang up there in the red line and come out without any damage, it's going to be Redline Synthetic Oil.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition and a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit, we'll protect it.
Richard, what's going on, man?
Just hanging out here up in good old New England.
Already out there. What you been getting in so far?
Just visiting some family. I grew up in this area and I actually was born in New England. So I had dinner with a cousin today and visiting some family and going to go out on the lake I grew up with a childhood friend tomorrow.
Very good. Very good.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Richard, we've had you on the show before. It's been a while, though, and Dugenay is aware of you. I'm certainly aware of you. But give us the rundown about yourself and how long you've been doing this, because so often people have seen your work, but they haven't seen you, the individual behind the camera at the wall. So give us the breakdown.
All right. So 1971, I'm sitting in the grandstands at OCIR, and I find out the guy with the camera that gets into the track for free. Well, I thought that was a pretty damn cool idea. So I went out, got a camera, and got a magazine to kind of sponsor me for credentials, magazine called Drag Scoop, and basically started doing some stuff. Had some great people, Steve Reyes and Jim Kelly and Leslie Lovett, all them kind of mentor me along the way. CJ Pappy Hart hired me to be track photographer. Probably 72, and Bill Donor, who owned all the racetracks in West Coast, let me go in the middle of a crazy night at a fox hunt. And March of '79, I started auto imagery, and with the blessings of Wally Parks and Leslie Lovett, I ended up being a backup situation for NHRA, so that they would always have photos if somehow their photo department failed. So 54 years later, I'm still at it, and I'm going to be capturing some good images, I hope, out here at Epping.
I think what's impressive is that you've been in every John Force winner circle. How did that relationship develop?
John and I struck up a friendship probably 72, early 73. He was in the Sidewinder car, Night Stalker car, and I knew Louie a little bit and met up with John and just kind of hit it off with both Southern California people. He would always do his testing at OCIR Irwindale, and of course, me being the track photographer at OCIR, I had constant dealings with him, and we kind of just grew into a friendship. When he had a project going on, like getting the Corvette built for Leo Sterry and stuff, he'd come pick me up in his dually, and we'd cruise up there and check on this and check on that, and just a cool friendship. And he wasn't a hitter at all, and he's like Shutes. He always adds an S to my name. Shutes, get a photo of me racing Snake. He's my idol, So I worked with him and get the photos that he wanted, and friendship grew. And I was fortunate enough over the years to just be able to totally devote my time to doing the drag racing stuff. Sonera was one of the races I always went to. If it rained out, I stuck around till Mondays. Same with Caps. Caps' first win was in Seattle on a Tuesday. I was there. I captured that. But going back to Force, it was Monday afternoon, and he's been a bridesmaid for so many damn years, and he's up against McCullough, and McCullough's got to be the odds-on favorite. Even though Austin had that car tuned up well, you got a veteran like Ace. You just know he's not going to give Force any slack. Well, just off the line, if I recall right, Ace struck the tires and Force went right down the track. There we were, his first national event win.
Well, I know that one is certainly memorable. What else stands out with John Force, though, as a memorable victory lane moment for you?
Oh, there's been so many of them. Obviously, in the 93 Memphis win, first time he'd ever won Memphis, and he called me up in the winner's circle and dedicated that win to me and gave me the Wally. I still have the original. That obviously ranks way up in there, in my mind, and one of the greatest moments of my life. Another one was, a couple of years ago when he won Seattle and he climbed over that fence and showed everybody that, there's still a kid in that heart. The body might be getting older, but, his mind and stuff, he was still a 20-year-old, and he was going to climb that fence and be with those fans. Then, of course, last year, the background behind me is him winning that last race here in Epping. And, it's kind of sad now. I remember him saying, Shoots, make sure you get this. This could be my last race. And I said, my last win. And I said, no, John, you've got many more coming. You're going to do it. Well, we all know how that worked out. So it's just kind of ironic that he would say that. And then as I was doing a post last week on Facebook, I grabbed the image from June 8th, 1987, which was the Sonera win on a Monday. And then I grabbed the picture that's behind me here, and that was June 2nd, 2024. Amazing part is 265 miles is the distance between his first win in Sonera and the racetrack at New England Dragway. Literally just a bit over a 4-hour drive. On top of that, it was only 6 days short of 37 years. That's a pretty remarkable career for a guy like John Force.
Definitely remarkable. You've been doing this for so long. You've seen all the changes from, having to do flash photography and film, going digital. What are some of the the memorable moments of those changes that you remember, and how has it changed as we've gotten into this age of where you used to be able to shoot and where you can shoot now?
Well, obviously it was not governed very much at all in the beginning. I mean, there's stories of a friend of mine standing in the middle of the track as Jeb Allen was going down Irwindale, and they immediately got the photographer and escorted him from the track, not for his own, not for the placement of where he was shooting from, but more from the sense of keeping him away from Jeb Allen, who was probably going to kick the crap out of him. So then as safety comes along, you fight it a little bit, and then you realize as you get up there in a couple of years that, maybe some of the things we were doing weren't the smartest. I've actually laid down on the track and had a funny car do a burnout and drive around me for a Super Shops hero card years ago. You know, it's when you're in your 20s and maybe early 30s, you're pretty immortal. I'm 74 now, and I look back at that and it's amazing I'm alive.
Right. Yeah, I've learned already. Yeah, I don't need to film a funny car from this angle. It got kind of close once or twice. Let's not do that again. Yeah, you never know when it might strike for sure. Richard,
Well, we used
go
to sit
ahead.
there and go on the inside of the guardrails and shoot the burnout, and then step back over the guardrail. But you could lay down there against the guardrail and stuff like that. And not that many years ago, maybe 10 years ago or so, 12 years ago, West Palm, I would go out there, and West Palm we used to test in January or February, and we'd run one lane. So I'd go out there and throw a towel down and lay there, and right in front of the A board, just beyond the tree. And pretty sure nobody's going to be able to get me, but if they did, I could also roll over into that lane a little bit. So that's probably about as daring as I've been, relatively, in the relatively short years. Firebird, we did some head-on hero card shots. Those were always fun. Shoot a really long lens. Funny thing there, actually, it happened in West Palm also. My shoe kind of stuck, and Hagen said he just thought it was going to be a bug on his windscreen.
Yeah, it's something I've always thought. I've never done like the burnout and catch it coming head on. I'm always like, man, like these are cool shots, and I'd like to get one. But man, if something sticks.
Well, yeah, those kind of things. You basically, and what I made the mistake of is I stood in one spot too long, and you just keep picking your feet up, shuffling back and forth. And but when I went to move, my legs weren't moving, and I saw him coming, and it's like, okay, last minute, it's like you just do a Hail Mary pass kind of thing.
So, Richard, recently we just had the 1,000th Top Fuel event, and you have been around for almost all of them when you consider 1,000.
Right.
If, give me your top 3, give me your top 5 of the Top Fuel races that you've been to and you've shot and you've experienced that come to mind.
Well, you got to start off with big running 250 at Ontario Motor Speedway. That's obviously right there at the top. Then I was there for the IHRA race with Eddie Hill running against Gene Snow. Ran the first 4-second pass. So those are 2 of them. What you got to go with Bernstein. You got to go with Bernstein at Gainesville, 300 miles an hour. And the crazy part is that, Diamond P wasn't set up with cameras yet. So they basically, all that video of that pass is all recreated because they did not shoot that pass. And one of the statistics I like about Bernstein's deal is you always ask, so who was in the other lane? Most people can never figure out who that was because it was Al Segrini in the Billy Lynch car. You let these guys guess, and they'll go through every Top Fuel car, every Top Fuel driver, and they'll never guess, Segrini, but that's who was over there. The other ones, pretty much, seeing 300 miles an hour at the 8th mile by Salinas. It's just remarkable things that you've watched along the way. It's amazing what this sport does. It's a passion for me. I mean, it hooks in me pretty early in life, and I was single till almost 40 years old, so that allowed me to be free to go take the pictures that I wanted and travel as I wanted.
What's your favorite track that you shot at?
Well, I have two that I really enjoy. I really love the feel of Epping and Seattle because they're old school tracks. They're not cookie cutters. Um, I gotta go with Dallas also. Billy's Motorplex was a show place. He really went above and beyond when he built that. When nobody knew what was going to go on with drag racing and how it was going to work out, he ponied up and put the dollars up. And 40 years ago, he opened that track. And damn it, it's a beautiful facility.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And, look, that little short list right there, man, I can't disagree with you at all. Epping, been there a couple of times, and it is a neat place to go experience a race, a distinct, passionate fan base up there for the NHRA New England Nationals. And then, yeah, the first time I went to Pacific Raceways, maybe 2-3 years ago now, I was like, oh, this is like Epping of the West. They've got that same. They got that same feel. It's very cool. And obviously the Motorplex, great place. I will say the Motorplex of the tracks on the circuit, it does have a challenging, in my opinion, at least, golden hour. The way the sun is going behind the tower, like you've got a weird period and some weird angles, and it can be challenging. So with that said, what's like the most challenging place to shoot at that you have experienced?
Most challenging track. Well, obviously, I go with the four wides. I shoot commercially more than I do now for magazines and stuff like that. So my job is to take care of my clients and build their brands, be it the racer himself or the sponsor. I do a lot of work for Napa and Chevrolet and Mopar, Peak, obviously. So you put my sponsored cars in the middle two lanes. It's very hard to capture them at a four wide, or because you try to work with the sun and follow the sun and keep it to your back, but damn, you're over on the left side of the track and your car's all the way over on the right side of the track. So the only way to properly do that is you basically go in with a team of photographers to be able to capture the thing and make sure you're taking care of your client's needs.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Since we asked you about John Force, what's your favorite moment that you were able to capture of Ron Capps?
Ron, probably his first championship. That was back in 2016. Matter of fact, I'm wearing the. Let's see if we can get that. That's the Rod. Oh no, wrong hand. There. All right, try this. There it is. That's Rod Capps's.
There it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
From 2016.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
So that was probably one of the great emotional wins for me. Ron's from Cupertino, California. After he moved from San Luis Obispo, and I went to high school in Cupertino, California. So we have that relationship. And then we both live in Carlsbad, California. So we see each other fairly often, socialize a little bit. Going over to Snake's house and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Richard, look, with your wealth of experience, definitely do not want to miss out on the opportunity to give you the platform and say, hey, young photographer, do this, don't do this. What's your advice, man?
Stop trying to shoot 20 frames per second. Focus. Best advice ever given to me by ace photographer Jim Kelly: pick your background. Of course, with Photoshop and all the tools today, you can change backgrounds. However, pick your background, pick your lens that gets that. And I say it this way: do you want to be a sniper or you want to be a machine gunner? Wait, set up your shot, go for the headshot. That's basically it.
I like that. Solid. Well, Richard, look, keep up the good work, and we know that you're going to do that. You've always done good work, and look forward to seeing you whatever the next time is, that'll be able to bump into you and You'll be seeing an email from me. I need to find some Murph McKinney stuff. Working with Murph, I need to find some stuff when he was driving. So
We can do that. We have it.
I know you do. I know you do.
All right, Lee.
Richard.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Richard.
Have a good weekend.
All right. Give me a shout if you ever need anything.
And yes, autoimagery.com. You can go there and check it out. It is just the database that is just there. And I'm sure there's even more that's not even up there. Maybe it's all there, but it is extensive. And
he's literally
Richard
the
and
GOAT.
his team, top notch.
Yeah,
for
he's
sure.
literally the GOAT, man.
Yeah, I mean, a member of the Texas Motorplex, Ring of Honor, Hall of Fame, however they word it at the Texas Motorplex. It fails me right now, and I'm sure a part of other groups as well. And someone that's been getting it done for a while now, and still out there passionate for the sport and getting the snaps from, and I'll bump into Richard every one race weekend. He was getting stuff for Bartone Racing. I was like, oh, hey, Richard, how you doing, man? So he's out there getting it done, and also has a stellar team getting it done. And some of the biggest names in motorsports, not just names as in drivers, but names with manufacturers and the people who supply parts and pieces. They're getting photos for those groups and those entities as well.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what he's been able to do over his career. It really is. It's a remarkable. He's really a walking history book. He's seen a lot.
Yes, and maybe Bobby doing a Legends with some
photos
up there and talking about some of those moments, or an article. There's on CompetitionPlus.com the article with Whit Bazemore. Whit Bazemore has got many of the classic images of drag racing that some of the times we think about. They're actually a Whit Bazemore photo, and you don't even realize it. There's an article on CompetitionPlus.com. You can read about some of those photos that he took and his thoughts in the moment and things of that nature. So maybe we need a Richard Shute of that, for example. But if you're friends with Richard on Facebook, just like today, he posted about family and Epping and some photos of Madison Payne and Rich and Megan Smith. So, he mentioned Facebook and making that post of John Force and 37 years, so if you happen to be friends with him on Facebook, you see some historical markers from time to time on his personal page. Are very cool to see and take the time to read.
Definitely. Yeah. I was skimming through those earlier. He's got some really cool posts there that you can catch for sure.
Absolutely. Well, with John Force being mentioned, I think we definitely have to take the time and give a plug for Peak. So this word from Peak, and then we are going to begin closing the show up with talking about drag racing a little bit more.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it Peak. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant, our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
Well, Dujanay, Memorial Day weekend, as we understand it here in the United States of America, is one of, if not the greatest weekend in motorsports. F1 is at Monaco, the Indianapolis 500, the greatest spectacle in motorsports, and then also the former World 600, now the Coca-Cola 600 with NASCAR. Drag racing really hasn't had much that has stood out on Memorial Day weekend. There was the Cajun Nationals for many years with the NHRA contesting that, but there was drag racing that did take place this past weekend, even with the PDRA making that move to cancel their event. And apparently there was no rain, but let me say this. If you canceled and there was no rain, it's still the right call, I think, because It's far better to have no race than show up, everybody spend a bunch of money, and there is no race because of rain. So if you're one of those that's griping and complaining, well, do your work on the track and earn the points necessary, and don't make the excuse at the end of the year that you lost a race and therefore lost a championship. So just put the work in.
Yep. I don't think you ever can be upset about those type of calls being made, because money is being saved. And sometimes you're not, sometimes you're going to call a race and nothing's going to happen, but it's that time that you don't call the race when you should have, and you think nothing's going to happen, and it does, and it's a washout. And now everybody spent a bunch of money to get there, dressed up, got all dolled up for the party, and yet there was no party. So I think no matter what, when those calls are made, especially with the weather we have been seeing over the past few months here, the severe weather, the tornadoes, when those calls are made, I think they're the right call, whether weather happens or not.
Absolutely. Drag racing did go down, though. I want to give a shout out to first thinking about Shadyside Dragway and the Ronnie Buff Memorial Race there in Shelby, North Carolina. The Buff boys, along with Corey Stamper, they put on yet again another show. They had made these announcements over the weekend, Dujanay, on Facebook. We have run out of racer parking. Don't come. And then they also said, we are at capacity. If you did not purchase a weekend pass, we're sorry, but don't come.
Wow.
Right. That's how successful that event was. And they also said, in saying that, hey, we're working on making more room, and they are. The Buffs there at Shadyside Dragway, they are working continually to improve that country drag strip and make it that much better of a place to race, yet while keeping its charm down there off the side of the hill right next to the creek. And they're doing that. But it was a mega successful event for them. And congratulations to Larson. $75,000 win, I think it was, in small tire over Lyle Barnett in the other lane. So they had a spectacular drag race there in North Carolina.
Yeah, before I speak, I want to say hello to the queen of the craft household,
yes,
Megan.
Hello. Megan, my wife, lovely wife. Thank you. Hello for joining in.
That's phenomenal, though. And that's the type of stuff you want to see.
Yes.
I feel sorry for the people who were not able to get in, but when you can max things out and have full capacity, packed house, man, that's special. That doesn't always happen, and that's awesome that it was able to happen for them.
Yes, they had the right weather and people showed up, and good. And look, Shadyside Dragway is not a Z-Max. They're not going to say they're a Z-Max. But just because you're not a Z-Max does not mean you cannot have big events and you cannot have successful weekends. And you see that with Nitro Chaos and Funny Car Chaos, with Chaos in the Cornfield this past weekend, where I was there at Eddyville, Iowa, at Eddyville Raceway Park. I had the opportunity to intro the Sunday racing element, and something that I mentioned. And though I love sprint car racing and I know the history of Knoxville Raceway, and when people think motorsports in Iowa, they're probably going to think first and foremost Knoxville Raceway, or they're going to think Iowa Speedway, with NASCAR paying a visit, IndyCar from time to time. But when I think motorsports in Iowa, I think Eddyville Raceway Park. And what a great job once again at Eddyville from Gerald Kramer and his team, Chris Graves and the team with Chaos, to pull off yet another successful Chaos in the Cornfield. And Friday had a good crowd, Sunday had a good crowd, but Saturday, out of this 3-day weekend really stood out. Dugenais, they had to shut down parking on one side and begin parking people where they usually do not park people at Eddyville Raceway Park. How many people showed up? And Kyle Kramer, Gerald's son, operations director is probably a title I could throw out and tag to him. He made a post today that it is one of the most remarkable crowds that they've had in many, many years. So, look, you do not have to have the NHRA National Event Circus. And I don't mean that with any derogatory nature. I just mean it of a show. Come to your track to have a successful event. You can have a Sega come and have a successful event. You can have a Corey Stamper put on a race with small tire and back at the track no prep and have a big race. You can have Chris Graves with Funny Car Chaos or Nitro Chaos come in and have a big race. You can have big races at a small track.
Yeah, definitely. It's really just all about making sure you market it right. That's really the big thing. I mean, if there's good racing, people are going to show up. They just need to know about it. It needs to be promoted very well. And if you can do that, anything that's going fast, people like seeing it, especially if the weather's good and the event is put on well. It's not hard to get people to come out to the racetrack.
Absolutely. And two great events there. I'm sure there were other events taking place too that right now I'm not aware of and I'm not thinking of. I do want to mention one more. Montgomery International Dragway. They had a Pro Mod race on Sunday, and everything that I saw, they had traffic all the way back to the bypass. And let me tell you, Montgomery International Dragway has a long entrance. So for them to be lined up back to the bypass, you had people just chomping at the bit to get in there and to see some Pro Mod action. So look, it was a good weekend for drag racing at many tracks across the country, for Eddyville Raceway Park, for a Montgomery International Dragway, and for a Shadyside Dragway. Look, maybe, just maybe, if you're a small track out there, maybe Memorial Day is your weekend to actually do something big, because the market is soaked up in other areas of motorsports with the Indy 500 and with the Coca-Cola 600, but yet drag racing right now really doesn't have it. So the fan that might say, I think I'll wait and watch NHRA on TV, they might go to the track that weekend. You never know. So, put it out there.
Yeah, take advantage of that, those off weeks and times where, the big show may not be out there, but you can have a big show of your own.
Absolutely. I do want to take the time. I think it was, I can't remember who it was, but they asked, where am I doing the show from? I am in my wife and I's camper, and I am at McKinney Corp in Lafayette, Indiana. So I'm in the home that rolls away from home, but eventually rolls back at this moment. That's where I am at.
Yeah, always good stuff going on at McKinney Corp. I took a glance today to see the entry list, and we actually picked up a dragster, because I believe when I looked a week ago, it was 14. And now we have 15 top fuelers, 17 funny cars, 18 pro stockers to be there. I didn't realize Mountain Motor Pro Stock was going to be there, but they're going to be there. They got 10, but they actually gained a top fuel dragster. Didn't really look at the list to see who it was, but it went from 14 to 15, because it was 14 a week ago.
That's got to be the highest number in a few years, from what I can recall.
Yeah, because I knew the funny car number did not change. They've always had 17, but they were 3 shy of 16. I thought, or 2 shy of 16, and they picked up one. So that's cool. That's cool. It's a real cool event. From what I understand, they're going to have a special throne and a special trophy, which it's really cool to see these tracks come online and start to come up with their own event trophy. But I think the event trophy is good. They also need to market this race as a throwback race. Man, it's perfect place for it.
I've been saying it maybe since episode 1 of the Competition Plus Power Hour. I've been saying it for a long time. I've been saying it since my early days of Between the Slicks. Ever since I went there for the first time, I'm like, this is a neat old school facility. But I hand it to the people at Epping, the management team there. They do a lot of hard work to still give the fans some amenities. And like, look, my home national event was the Southern Nationals. I loved Atlanta Dragway, but Atlanta Dragway hadn't made any major updates since they made the major updates in the late 80s, early 90s. Okay. Yeah. So it was starting to be long in the tooth in certain areas. But Epping, even though they might not have the best of facilities, what they do, they try really hard. They bring in the portable bathrooms and they set up more porta potties, and they really put the work in to make it a successful event. And I can appreciate that. You also got the character of you can go sit on the hill and watch a drag race, all those type of things. Neat place. Yes, I firmly agree. I don't understand why this is so hard with drag racing and the funny car bodies being wrapped and just about everything being wrapped these days, of having a throwback race. NASCAR has successfully done it. It doesn't have to be every year. Every other, Dugenay, you follow other sports. I follow other sports. What major league sport does not have a throwback weekend?
Right. Exactly. Football does it. Basketball has been doing it. They've also been doing, they've been going to, you have throwbacks and then you have these retro uniforms that they're kind of future looking. I just don't get it. This is the perfect spot for it. I think it's a great spot for sponsors to come up with a new scheme for this particular race that kind of stands out, whether it's, you can pick from any genre of time, late before, 80s on back to make something cool out of it. This, to me, it's the perfect place, given the whole entire the way the track and all the amenities, everything that comes with this, to have guys on the starting line in some retro gear and these throwback cars would be awesome. And I think sponsors need to get on board of, if you have to, do it yourself. This is a great time to promote your product in a place that is really off the beaten path. And what a better way to do it than to come up with some kind of retro scheme that's eye-catching.
Right. And look, the teams could do it if they want to.
Yeah.
They could. You have people that do run throwback schemes from time to time. We've seen it, Coletta's with the Bounty Hunter and the funny car. I think even this year they rolled out there at Bradenton, the beautiful, red, or going back to late 80s, if I remember correct, with Scott, you've had other, like Mike Salinas at times has run throwback schemes, and also Steve Torrance has run throwback schemes. So the teams can do it. They need to work it with their sponsors. And if the NHRA isn't going to embrace it and promote it, if they're going to be hands off, then the teams need to take it up upon themselves to do it. And if the NHRA is leaving it up to the teams to do it, well, in fact, then the teams are hindering it, and the teams need to step up to the plate. And look, it's, hashtag NHRA old school week, or hashtag NHRA throwback, just let's start it. Let's get it done. I think Epping is the place with the facility where it's at. It's just the fan base. I think it would be a massive hit, and yes, they need to work towards it for sure. But we've said, man, I've been saying it for years, and I'm not the only one. So many have, and it just has not happened. But every time we get a glimpse of something And look, it doesn't happen. Does not have to happen every year. Maybe it shouldn't even be every year, but there is certainly a power with nostalgia when done right. And we see that with NASCAR. NASCAR tried to kill Darlington. You can't get around it. They tried to kill Darlington, and had a great idea. We're going to make it throwback weekend. We're the old school track, Lady in Black. We're the oldest, considered, super speedway at one time. We're going to work that angle, and boom, brought it back. Where they even have 2 race weekends a year back on the schedule. So yes, there is a power in it done right. Doesn't have to be done every year, but why the NHRA has set on their hands underneath their butts on this one, or the teams, it astounds me. Because by the way, let me say this: it is not always the NHRA's fault. Sometimes it is the competitors.
Yep.
Okay, sometimes they are their own worst enemies for the sport of drag racing. They bark about the NHRA doing this and doing that, not doing this and not doing that. The NHRA didn't take away throttle wax. They just started not doing them. I know it's not necessary, but the teams, they're the ones calling that, okay? If you're like, oh, we want quarter mile racing. Well, the competitors don't, okay? So realize it's not always the NHRA.
Yeah, they get to make calls on things. And, some things we get, some things we don't get. And some things that they have taken away, take away from the show of the whole thing, the spectacle that is that nitro racing. So, they could take it into their own hands to do. I think there's so many angles here now that they have these special booths that they're able to stick out there and sell special, memorabilia, special gear, whatever. It's a great time to take advantage of that. Teams take advantage of that and have something special sitting outside their pit area that people can buy. It's just so much you can do with this thing that would generate money for the teams. It generates a little bit of fanfare and a little excitement. So it would be nice to see that happen at some point, and this would be the place to do it at.
I completely agree. And look, in the comment section, we got a lot of folks. They are asking on thoughts concerning the new combination to be allowed in 2026 in Top Alcohol Funny Car and Top Alcohol Dragster. I think bad move. I have already seen. Look, I just came from a funny car race, and that funny car race has many people in it that no longer want to race NHRA drag racing because of these type of moves. In fact, one of them, you can find it because the statement was made publicly on social media with Wade Van Halen, and they've competed in the NHRA the last 3-4 years, even more beyond that though. But in the trim they're in right now, that where they compete in Funny Car Chaos, they also compete in the Midwest Drag Racing Series. They also would compete in the NHRA. They're like, yeah, we're not going to run NHRA no more. We're done. There are cars on hold right now for people trying to figure out what is going to be done and how is it going to be done, and is it really worth me building a funny car right now with the nature of where the class is going. So I think it's a bad move. If you're going to create this class, just create its own space. And by the way, just at this point, just run methanol off. Stop playing around. Stop just wanting them to leave. Just run them off. Because that's apparently what you're doing anyway.
Just kill it.
And you're just trying to do it without telling them, like, we don't like you. Like it's like you're trying to take all the toys away from the sandbox and let them get the message themselves of get out of my sandbox. And oh, by the way, to racers and competitors, stop fussing about the NHRA when you have other places to go race. If you don't like what they're doing, don't show up.
Yep.
Look,
it's real easy.
Dujane, I've been in this for about 6 years now, and I know that's not a terribly long time, but for 6 years, I've heard nothing but racers complain about the NHRA. Shut up and go race somewhere else.
Yep.
Look,
And,
there's a reason.
NHRA
There's a reason
embraced
this
this.
year. There's a reason this year. Like I don't have any NHRA national events on my calendar. Okay.
Yeah.
So look, you got Funny Car Chaos, you got Midwest Drag Racing Series, you got the Cool Brothers. You know, they're trying to do something. I mean, just start your own thing. I don't care about IHRA maybe, but if you're going to complain, leave. And I honestly think that's the only way they're going to get the message. And you know what? If you leave and the NHRA is like, thank God, finally, then you knew they didn't want you in the first place. So just stop the headache and go race somewhere else.
I got something better. Just stop pandering and kill the damn thing. Just call it Junior Nitro. Just call it Junior Nitro and be done with it. Just kill the class. Just do it.
You think they're going to get parity?
No.
Like, look what has already happened with one car being extremely successful with the injected nitro combination. Yeah. They have effectively killed that combination now.
Yeah.
Quick. To the point where those that were successful with it are like, well, we're not going to run that car no more. We're going to bring our methanol car back out.
Yeah. Yeah. Messed up, man. That's the direction it seems like they want to go. And it's like, just do it. Just do it. Right now, with what you've got and the amount of times that class gets put off and pushed off at the second someone blinks and we get 30 minutes to an hour behind, just do it.
Yeah. And look, reconfigure this thing and make junior fuel like you meant, and look, maybe that class is injected nitro and a supercharged combination, and you work on the parity there and give the methanol guys their own class. Okay. Maybe that's it. But stop. You have ostracized them enough. You have kicked them in the stomach while they're down enough. Just stop it.
Yep.
And
also
go somewhere else. To the teams, stop letting them kick you while you're down. Go race somewhere else.
Because there's plenty of them. They could make this thing happen. I would definitely, like I said before, I know I love the 8-car fields for the nitro classes for IHRA, but I think your bread and butter is your alcohol class. That's your feature class.
Why not? I think there's room there right now to do something like that. And look, go run Funny Car Chaos. Go run Midwest Drag Racing Series. I know for some there's issues there in those places, but look, you can't have Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos in the NHRA because the NHRA is about rules.
Yep.
All right. And they're about trying to give everybody a level playing field. And Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos and that brand of drag racing is the level playing field is bring whatever you got, and you better have brought enough.
Right.
And do it in an 8-car field. Okay.
Yep.
And have multiple fields. It's a different style of drag racing, but it works and it's successful. That's not NHRA drag racing, though.
No.
Again, you want to start a whole nother class? Do that. But I don't. I guess the methanol racers, especially the Funny Car methanol racers, I mean, are they suffering from Stockholm syndrome at this point or something? I mean, do they need therapy? I mean, just go race somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what I would do. It's very obvious of the direction that they're going in. So, they're pretty much letting you know who they are. I don't know how many times you have to be shown who they are. So, if you stay, don't complain because you already know what you're getting. So,
right.
That's that.
And if you're scared that if you don't show up, that they just won't bother contesting your class anymore, they didn't want you. So just accept that.
Yep.
Okay. Just, I don't know. Look, I love blown methanol funny cars. They are such a cool car within drag racing. And when they still have a clutch in them and they're shifting, I mean, it's one of the most challenging cars to drive. But for whatever reason, NHRA doesn't want to put emphasis on it, and just is not really hearing these guys and those guys, gals too. And again, if they want to create, in essence, I don't know if it's kind of hard to say junior fuel, because junior fuel does have a different connection elsewhere in drag racing, but
right.
And from what I understand, these are not just Heritage Series type rules either. It is a different set of rules, different platform. It has been tested to some extent. Again, I'm more in favor. Just create a whole new class.
Yep. That's the way I see it.
Or what they intend to do is put it in Top Alcohol, Funny Car, and Dragster, and in particular Top Alcohol, Funny Car, just kill off the rest of the methanol cars, and by that time you're forced to change the class, but it's not your fault because you don't make the press release. Just everybody left, and then you can be like, oh, well, they're not here.
Yep.
Look, blown methanol competitors, take your ball and go home. Just go home.
Yep.
Okay. If you need Chris Graves' number, I'll send it to you. Okay. I'm sure you can reach out to Midwest Drag Racing Series. You all get together and do something yourself.
It can be done.
It
can be done.
I mean, yeah.
Sad.
There's my thoughts. There's my thoughts. Yeah. Any other questions out there tonight? Any other questions? Anybody else?
I don't see anything. Oh, wait. Andrew says, "Where do the dragsters go?"
Do the same thing. Just go.
Same thing.
Go. I mean, just look. Chris Graves, after Nitro Chaos, and the rule was made that that everything that competes must be 80% nitro minimum, which that was a rule from the beginning. But then the rule was made a motor needs to be in front of the driver. Look, Chris has been adamant. Hey, find the money and we'll run, Dragster Chaos, and it be nothing but injected nitro dragsters. So there's people out there willing to do it. Okay. And look, these racers, they're not dumb.
No.
Get together. Come up with their own promotion. Look, I appreciate what Halsey did within the program of having a $15,000 shootout there at Cecil. That was great. Need more of that for the alcohol dragster guys. But I don't understand. Like, what satisfaction are you all getting of beating your heads against the wall?
Yeah, it can't be anything. It's just a bunch of frustration and headache.
Do y'all need the smellums? I mean, do we need shrinks at the track, in the pits, out there in the back 40 where they park you in the mud, and they sit down there with you and like, would you please sit down with me? Let's have a conversation about the NHRA and what the issue is right now. Let's get it off your chest right now. Just pack it up and go home.
Yeah. Because it's not like half the time you're running anyway, because you get pushed to the end of the line or to the next day.
Blake, no, there's no contract. No.
Yeah. Nope. Not at all.
They're a sportsman racer. They're paying to go race. They're paying to be abused.
Yeah. Literally.
Look, let me some of y'all need to stop letting that little figure control you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about it.
I mean, someone's going to be pawning it after you're gone. Okay. I mean,
true.
It's
I've
going to
seen
be
a lot of them
doorstop.
on eBay.
Okay, so stop the frustration and go have fun when you race.
Yeah. There you have it, guys. It's a shame, but it's not like we haven't seen this coming. I mean, it's pretty loud.
God bless y'all's hearts. God bless y'all's hearts.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, man.
Memphis with the latest IHRA. Latest announcement was their No Time series in class. That you can see it on the IHRA Facebook. They announced the No Time series. Well, they had announced it way back, but they announced the schedule for the IHRA No Time series. So yes, there was an announcement, and look on that. I mean, this past weekend, I talked to people with funny cars. I talked to people who've been around the sport a while. They're not much confidence. Yeah. There's certainly the hope, but not much confidence.
And we're getting real close to that first event, so about a month out.
Not far. Not far at all.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what was that released this week?
Last week. So
we'll see what we get this week.
Let's see. Yeah, 2025 No Time Kings date. Or dates, excuse me. No Time Kings dates. So July 18th and 19th, Galat Motorsports Park. August 15th through 16th, Milan Dragway. September 12th through 13th, National Trail Raceway. And then October 10th through the 11th, Dragway 42, which is West Salem, Ohio.
Interesting. And yes, Andrew, I did see that.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yep. Saw that
nothing
they made
will
that.
ever be the old Speedway, but we'll see what they do.
Hey, I think that's absolutely true, but yet they've got an opportunity to make a great place to go race.
Yeah.
And I think that family will certainly do so. And if that family decided never to build anything, they would have every right not to. And you know what? On that, I think we should scour social media and everybody that complained about them closing that track and everybody that said, you suck for doing this and like you'll never build anything else and you're abandoning the sport of drag racing and forget you. Well, let's forget them. Like mark them on a list. Don't buy a ticket.
Right.
When there's a new track.
Right. Yeah. The overreactors. So bad. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, they do. They own the place.
For real. They can do what they want.
Man.
It'll be interesting to see what they build though, man. If it's anything like they are as a family, it will be a pretty special place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
They'll do it right.
Yep. Most definitely. That's about it, man. Unless we got some more comments in the comment section. That's about it. And Blake, I didn't do anything Memorial Day. I did no racing. I was just relaxing. I took a break from everything. Football, racing, everything. By the way, the best comment of the night was the lot lizard comment from Memphis.
Yeah. Yes, I saw that, and we were getting toward the end with Dallas, but I don't think Sadie would have appreciated that comment being thrown out. So we'll just not go with that one.
That's why I left it.
That was a great question. That was a great question, by the way. Okay.
It was funny.
That was a great question.
I love it.
And look, I will say there have been some places I have stopped and I have reconsidered after I saw that to get into the truck parking area, there's like a little kiosk with gates that open up, and you have to like check in. And I'm like, oh
That kind of place.
something goes down, or has gone down here.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's pretty rough out there.
I know.
Yep.
Yep.
Of course, Memphis. Of course. Yeah. That's about it. We'll see what happens here this weekend. Should be an interesting weekend. I'm actually interested in seeing what happens here. What am I looking for? Seeing what happens here this weekend. Another probably off the wall drag race bracket bonanza bracket deal here this weekend. There's always some interesting upsets that happen here. So
Epping does produce that. Yep.
It'll be another interesting weekend of potential upsets here. I'll be looking at the weather. I mean, it seems like every race this year, from qualifying Friday to Sunday, you've got a smorgasbord of weather. It's not the same. It's sometimes not the same in the same qualifying day on two sessions, but from session 1 to session 4, you've pretty much experienced everything. And then when you show up on race day, the 4 sessions you had the 2 days before, well, you just take that stuff, ball it up, and throw it in the trash because it's super cool and none of that crap mattered that you did in qualifying. It's been wild.
I just hope for the fans up there in New England. I haven't looked at the forecast, but I just hope they get an event in. Last year they had to contest it at Bristol. It was absolutely dreadful. So I hope that they are able to get it in, and the fans in New England are able to enjoy themselves nitro and eliminations. So I hope that's the case.
Let's see. I'm trying to pull up the weather here.
Pull up the weather. And we'll take it now and give it off to meteorologist Bland in the Weather Center on Competition Plus Power Hour.
Let's see what we look like here. Well, it looks like for Thursday, we've got a little 50% chance of rain. It will be cloudy on Friday, 76, 57 that night. There is a 64% chance of rain on Saturday. Temperatures will be 67, low for Saturday night, 49, but partly cloudy on Sunday. 49-degree temperature for that night. It will be 67 degrees again. So you can expect a very, very good racetrack, especially if it's partly cloudy. We could see some runs being made there. Maybe some Epping track records possibly being broken.
Possibly, but I also remember it seemed like 2 years ago that there were going to be those stellar conditions on a Friday night, and nobody hit it.
It was a shakedown.
Yes. Like all week, Brian Loans was hyping it. That's
right. I remember that.
That's his place. And the conditions were going to be right. And I don't blame him. It was going to be, and it was right. But nobody didn't put in the right things because nobody did nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. That's when I was like, yep, we're just going to stop. We're going to stop talking about it. We're going to stop talking about it.
Like, we're going to get those throwdown conditions, and people, they throw down. They throw down right to the 60-foot mark.
Exactly. A big shakedown. You want to know our picks, Andrew? Shoot. Man, I'm going to ride the wave that is Tony Stewart. I'm going to say that he goes back-to-back here. I just think the conditions, the smart way that Neil Strasbaugh has been managing that car as of late, I think they have a really good opportunity to go back-to-back. I do not expect it to be a John Force race car that wins this weekend. I'm going to go with Daniel Wilkerson. They've had the car running quite well. Just some things haven't come together on Sunday. I think they'll get all that worked out and get an opportunity to get in the winner's circle there. Pro stock, I'm just going to go with the guy we had on, Dallas Glenn. From what I've heard out of the mouth of one of the Jasons regarding Elite Motorsports, they may or may not have figured out something. So we will see when it comes down to qualifying time and how tight this field is. But yeah, I'm going to go with Dallas Glenn. I'm going to keep it in the KB Titan team until Elite shows me otherwise.
Okay. Great picks.
That's all I got.
Those are great picks. Great picks.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good.
I'm good too.
Well, since we are all good, we thank you for watching. And as this guy says, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
QuartermileClassifieds.com is a new and easier alternative to online classified advertising. We make it a simple experience with $20 getting your car, hauler, engine, or parts listed for 2 weeks. If you want to make a bigger splash, we have VIP listings that provide even more exposure, including social media. On QuartermileClassifieds.com, you get up to 10 photos of video and up to 2,000 characters to deliver the message you need to make the sale. QuartermileClassifieds.com is a trusted classified ad partner of Competition Plus and the Roof Tech Top Eliminator Bonus Fund. Visit QuartermileClassifieds.com today.